Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we got something a little different. Sure, it's another Montana video, which by the way I've got some other videos lined up this week too, so keep that in mind. It's not just going to be Montana, I promise. But I just happened to jump into Montana for a few games after getting some games in the Worcester for you guys to watch. And the last couple games that I had were a little weird. As you can see by the message from Mr. Massacre up here, he ended up in my game right before I got into this match. And we have a few people we know, like Dazzla and the Monk 52 and Monk 52's friends. And oh, and on the enemy team in the Low Yang, you have Tommy Boy 601. How do I run into so many people? This has never happened off stream before. Like, I have never run into this many people off stream. I don't know if somebody was streaming and I just happened to be queued up with them or what. But yeah, this was definitely unexpected. But this is going to be one of those times where it's not always good for an enemy team to get focused on one person. Whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, doesn't really matter. But we all know, generally speaking, that it's generally me that people tend to focus, if they see me. I had another example of this when I ran into Dr. Fat earlier. I can't remember who was with him. Crap. I apologize. But it was at least Dr. Fat. And he was in the Yami. He ends up getting a Kraken in the game. I end up putting a 180,000 damage game up in my Montana. And then I get death struck by a Jean Bart. Yes, that actually happened. I know. It freaked me out too. But the worst part was he death struck me while a Gross Curve was like passing by me. And he had the weirdest angle ever to actually shoot through, like past the Gross Curve and into my... I don't know how he hit my Citadel, to be honest. But either way, it happened. And he sent me a message afterward and he's like, I would have shot the GK, but then I recognized your name. I'm like, yeah, that's the way it works. Unfortunately, that's the downside of being Spartan Elite 43. If somebody can shoot you and they recognize you, they're gonna shoot you. It's just the way it is. And it also helps when you spawn middle of the map and you shoot people right off the bat because you cannot possibly hold your freaking fire. It's just not in your blood. Like, you have to fire your guns, even if you're in the worst possible position, flat broadside to everybody on the enemy team. Now, we get away pretty well at the beginning of this match. Not having to worry about getting smashed too hard. Surprisingly. But we get a shot at the Alaska here, and this guy is not paying attention. And he gets very fortunate to not just be removed there. That was a beautiful salvo. And unfortunately, we just get a bunch of overpins. But we did everything we could to actually smash that man. And we're already at 31,000 damage. We're not going to be sleeping in this match. It's not like we're going to suddenly, like, forget how to play the Montana. I love this ship. You guys know that. I think it's been pretty obvious so far. Unfortunately, can't lob the island on the Alaska anymore. You can see, we're looking over here, we've got Tommy Boy in the Low Yang. He's 15 kilometers away in a destroyer. Most battleship captains would not take this shot. But you never know. You miss all of the shots you don't take. And if I can help smack a frickin' destroyer early in a match, it could change the match for us. It doesn't end up happening. We don't end up hitting him. Big surprise. But then the Iowa takes a shot at me from over there. Now that's the problem. Okay, generally speaking, if you're about to do something incredibly stupid, the last thing you want to do is fire your guns. Like me at the beginning of the match. The last thing I should have done was fire my guns when I'm flat broadside to everybody. You're guaranteed that everybody's going to shoot you. Here we had a weird glitch that kept me from doing a full salvo. But this Iowa turns in. He was about to be caught broadside. He turns in and we still get a pretty solid chunk off of him, hitting the superstructure. But he's stuck now. He's inside my range. I'm going to devote all of my attention to him because he is absolutely begging for it. His superstructure looks to be saturated, even though we all know that that's not the case because superstructures never get saturated for American and German battleships, ever. But we take a shot at a broadside. He turns broadside. He's begging for this. He's literally begging for this. And we score a Citadel, hitting towards the front guns there. But we've now completely made him wish that he hadn't done what he had just done. And that's going to force him to overturn, and he's going to end up beaching himself on the island right there too. So he just keeps compounding his mistakes. He's being focused by a destroyer that's just firing his guns constantly. We're getting shots at him. You know, we're not the only ones shooting him, obviously, but we're doing the most damage to him. And you can see we're taking a shot at his superstructure again, and we actually aim a little too far forward. He ends up not taking that much damage that time. But he can't go anywhere. He's going to either have to turn out and give me broadside again, which he definitely doesn't want to do, or he's going to run aground. And I don't think he wants to do that either. So he kind of half-heartedly does both. He kind of turns out trying to avoid getting, you know, blown apart by me. But unfortunately for him, I mean, it's just begging for it. And we hit home. But unfortunately leave him with just enough to get away. And for whatever reason, the last shot decided it wanted to go high. You just, you know, it does make you wonder sometimes. I'm not going to lie. But we leave the Iowa to go down. He does go down to our destroyer. And that's when I noticed the Yamato here. Now, I'm not going to lie. This Yamato looks to be about ready to make a really big turn, which means deletion city for a Yamato. I don't care what battleship you're in. But unfortunately, just as we fire our guns, he recognizes and turns back in and gets angled and keeps us from going through that sweet, sweet cheek of his and absolutely removing that man, because I would do it. You know that I'm more than capable of removing Yamis in Kansas and Montana and any other battleship that anybody in a Yami decides to over-rotate to. But you can see he's done. Like, he turned back to try to bow tank me, which left him broadside to the rest of my team, and that didn't last it very long. And again, this is just one of those things. Like, you literally have to pay attention to me at all time. And if you do that, I do have teammates, and in some matches, those teammates are actually capable of doing damage. I know, it's crazy. But when it happens, it is a beautiful thing to watch. To watch everybody try their darndest to keep me from doing things, just to get obliterated by everybody else. And it's one of those things that I've mentioned on stream is, happens to a lot of people. Now, this gross occur first is begging for it. So he's trying to stop, obviously. We try to get the guns out. We lose a lot to that island, unfortunately, but we still blap that man for 20k. 6 full penetrations. Now, obviously, we're getting focused by a destroyer, which is Tommy Boy. We're getting shot by the Ochakov. We're getting shot by the Bismarck and the Gross Kurfürst. So we need to turn out here. We need to make sure that the battleships, who are going to be the ones most likely to send me back to port quickly in this situation, going to have to make sure that they're not able to do it. So we take a shot at the Gross Kurfürst. Again, absolutely begging for it. There's nothing that freaking 1,000-foot-long ship can do. And we blap them again. And that takes us up to 123,000 damage. Now we take a shot at Tommy Boy in the smoke here. Obviously, we're capturing a zone over there, so we're gonna have at least the tie, if not an advantage here. I'm trying to reset Tommy. So you can see, I'm looking into the smoke. I know roughly where he's at, and he actually lines himself up to get shot just in time to potentially reset the cap. Come on, Spartan! You got this! And we get the reset! We are goated! I know Peak says he's king of the blind fire, and I would happen to agree because I've seen that man hit a lot of blind fires. For me, it's more a hit and miss. But the fact that I just hit a destroyer in the smoke to reset the cap is actually hilarious. But we get another shot out on him. He's trying to figure out which way he wants to go. We're going to get another hit on him. And unfortunately for Tommy Boy, that's all she wrote. He's going down. Our Friesland closes in and absolutely wrecks him. And that's when we capture Alpha. Now again, this match could go either way. You never know how this is going to end. I've seen teams throw worse than this. So we've got to do our best to stay in the fight. Make sure that we're capable of still dishing out a paddling. You can see our Friesland is really enjoying the fact that everybody's just like letting him sit there and spam HE the entire game. I don't know how much damage this Friesland ends up with, but it had to be at least significant because this man got to sit in open water pretty much the entire game and spam HE. He's got a smoke screen right now. Of course, he's in front of an Ochakov. That's probably not going to go well for him as he goes down. But there's still the Ochi. There's still another cruiser out there that we haven't seen. I think it's the Alaska from earlier. And then, of course, we have the carrier. And so you can see I am just absolutely salivating waiting for this Ochi to come around this island. And he doesn't. He just doesn't. He decides to double back and go after our Cleveland. Now, I knew what was coming. I knew that this Ochi was going to YOLO rush our Cleveland in a desperate bid to torp the Cleveland. And that's exactly what he does. So I've got my guns already ready for him. He comes around the corner. I'm waiting for him to make the mistake. I'm waiting for him to turn one way or the other so that we can get that big hit that we're looking for. He starts to turn. I take the shot. We're close enough that that should be decent. And we actually get robbed. Like, that should have been an absolute paddling. And somehow they all went high. And at this point, I knew that my Cleveland was dead. But my Cleveland's no slouch in his own right. This man loads AP, and he blaps this Ochakov out of the freaking game. Unfortunately, it was right after he gets his torpedoes away, so he gets blapped out of the game by the torpedoes. There's a lot of interesting moments that happened here at the end of this game. And then, of course, the Lexington, spotted by our aircraft carrier. We give him a shot here, knowing that that's not as much lead as I probably should give him. And we turn to get the rear guns involved. You can see we still have the guy over here trying to bomb us with torpedoes and whatnot. So we're going to take a torp, no big deal. Right on the bow, 6,000 damage. Doesn't even cause a flood. We get our Clear Skies medal. And this is the beginning of a few salvos of just stacking medals. That's all this is. Like, I get my Clear Skies right there. No big deal. We know we're about to get him spotted again because our carrier's pushing towards him again. And of course, there he is. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to give him a little bit more lead this time. He is kind of sailing away from us a little bit, but he's turning towards us. So we take the shot, and we land a little too far forward. So we're giving him too much lead. There's our Confederate medal. And then we fire the rear guns. And, wait for it. Bonk. Oh, we didn't get him. Darn it. It must be the next salvo, as he takes another chunk from somebody. I think it was a bomb drop. But he's literally almost bow tanking us at this point. You can see I am actually going to blind fire right here. He just went dark. We know he's still there. It's not like he can hide. And with that salvo, we get our high caliber to add to our little total. And we have our rear guns. He now is available to be shot, and we take the shot and absolutely smash him for 10k, finishing him off and finish the game with 167,000 damage. Again, not the highest damage game in this, but a really fun 172,000 actually. Confederate, clear sky, high caliber, top of the leaderboard with 3,357 base XP. GG to everybody in the match, Tommy Boy especially, but the Monk 52 and friends. Appreciate you guys, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.